Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie. At the end of the last episode, we finally finished off Rusty Bucket Bay and we found another water switch that allowed us to get access to the very next note door. And of course, this note door has revealed another section of the layer. As you can see, we have a little bit more of a nature type of area here. This is kind of more of a essentially a little bit of a preview as far as what the next world is going to look like, and this is actually the final world of the game, believe it or not. We are actually at world 9. I can't believe that. The first thing we want to do is actually go ahead and use the Beak Buster move to activate that Jiggy panel. And if you notice, that Jiggy panel actually is spawned in a different room, and that is actually a room we haven't went in yet, but we could have much earlier on in the game. If you go in this little tunnel here, you'll find a Mumbo token just chilling right there in the air. And as you can see, we are now back in the previous room where we had the entrance to Rusty Bucket Bay. So kind of nice, a little cave looking area that I kind of took a little bit of time to admire the last time I was in there. The entrance to the final world is straight shot over that way. However, we actually want to go ahead and travel back over to this area. So if this looks familiar, this is of course right by the entrance to Treasure Trove Cove. However, if you jump down in this water and swim into this tunnel, you will find a new area that we haven't explored, but we could have. However, the jigsaw pad was not present. Ugly Grunty's nickname was Hog Breath at which school? We learned some more secrets from Brintilda here. I also know that freshly burst boils is her favorite smell. And we got one more in you. Always gives 3. And the old hag's favorite color is dung brown. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and try to go ahead and listen to some of those secrets about Gruntilda, because we actually are coming up very soon to the section of the game where we're going to put those secrets to use. So again, no need to really memorize them, but it is nice to, I guess, have a few of them in our brain, in the back of our head, right before we enter that area. But now we have one more world to complete. So stepping on the jigsaw pad, we unlock Click Clock Wood, the final world of the game. I still cannot believe that we were at this point already. This is crazy. But as you can see, the door is now open, so it is now time to head back over to that section of the layer just outside of the entrance to Click Clock Wood. So I will see you there. Back in the water. Now that we have arrived right back outside the entrance Click Clock Wood, we'll go ahead and talk to the Brintilda here. Gruesome Gruntilda's favorite pastime is flying radio-controlled bats. Alright, so very nice there. We'll go ahead and just kind of stop that for now. We have, as you can see, we have another Gruntling. This time we have a Dark Coat one. Those guys actually take 3 different hits to be taken down, so kind of interesting. Join me now and dump the bear. That little backpack that I'll wear. Wow, Gruntilda's really trying to, I guess, persuade Kazooie. I think that's who she was talking to essentially dump Banjo and join her. Man, she's more evil and twisted than I thought she was. But now what we're going to do is actually, before we enter Click Clock Wood, there's actually a secret tunnel entrance right here. Voila. And as you can see, we have yet again another cauldron. And this one is actually the pair to the orange one we found much earlier on. And that one's actually located right by the entrance to Clinker's Cavern. So very nice. You get to essentially transport all the way from the beginning of the layer, all the way to this section. This is pretty much towards the end of the layer because we're pretty much rounding off the game very soon here. But running away from death from that deadly looking bull, we are now going to enter Click Clock Wood, the very last world of the game. Are you ready? Join me now. And she's saying the same thing over and over. Man, she just doesn't give up, does she? She's relentless, man. Like, she really wants everyone on her side. But anyways, we are now here. And yeah, so this is the final world of the game. And as you can see, we have 4 doors. Very mysterious. So yeah, so we are actually going to be completing this world by taking on a different section one by one. So basically, when you start out, we'll go ahead and grab these notes that are actually located right here in the middle section. You are actually only able to enter 1 door at a time. So each one of these doors represents a different season. As you notice, every little environment around the door, different doors, looks a little bit differently. We have a little snowy area. This obviously represents the winter section. We, of course, have a fall section, we have a summer section, and then, of course, a spring section. The spring section is going to be the only one that's accessible right after we go ahead and hit this flower switch right here. And this flower essentially represents that it is the spring section. So now that we have opened the spring door, we are going to tackle that section first. So yeah, so this world is by far the most complex of the entire game. This is when the game gets very creative. I have to say, this is probably one of the most unique worlds of the game. And of course, it's the last one. And I kind of like the fact that they saved this one for last. I don't know why. It's very creative and very, very complex. We can actually go ahead and grab that Mumbo token inside of that snare bear, which is a new appearance in this game. Those things, you will not... they will actually hold various collectibles like Mumbo tokens. Some actually hold notes, if I remember correctly. And the only way you can get that is, there's actually one way we can get it without the Wonder Wing ability. But if you're just using regular, Banjo and Kazooie form, that is the only way to get those. And of course, you only have 10 golden feathers. Go ahead and nip that guy right in the butt. That is another new enemy as well. And it is called a Big Clucker. I am not kidding. That is his actual name. But of course, we are limited to only using 10 golden feathers. So once we run out of golden feathers, we of course are kind of screwed in getting certain collectibles. As you can see, they put even gold feathers inside of the snare bears. So it's kind of nice to be able to kind of replenish your count, because again, this is probably going to be one of the worlds where the Wonder Wing is definitely the most beneficial in this world right here, Click Clock Wood. Probably more than any other world in my personal opinion, just because you use it so much more than you would in the entire game. But as you can see, we're essentially scaling around this giant tree. So this tree has many different levels to it. We are now just now currently on pretty much the lower level of the tree, but we have a lot more to do. We are going to be scaling around this entire thing for quite some time. And of course, like you noticed when we got into the world, there's 4 different seasons to explore. So I'll kind of talk a little bit more about how the different seasons function in this world once we get to the next one, because it'll make a lot more sense, once we kind of travel from season to season, and then you kind of see the differences. Then, of course, I would fall right down there in the vines. My Bramble Field makes you yelp, and loss of life, it sure does help. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Are we gonna die right here? Okay, I hope not. Another cool thing is the wading boots return. So we get another great use of the wading boots. They essentially will allow us to travel through the little bramble vines here on the ground, and we will not take any damage, because of course, if we do travel through those without the wading boots, we can die pretty easily because it takes quite a bit of damage. But we now have arrived at Mumbo's hut. We're gonna go ahead and pay our good friend Mumbo a visit. And this is where we will receive our final transformation. So he's asking for 25 Mumbo tokens. So right there tells you that that is how many you need to be holding by the time you enter Click Clock Wood. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you have 25 Mumbo tokens by this point in the game. Of course, if you notice my count, I have been a little bit of an overachiever when collecting the Mumbo tokens. So that number will not be a problem for me at all. Now that we have woken up our good buddy Mumbo, we're going to go ahead and see what our final transformation is. And it is a bee. Mumbo magic much good. Bee is best yet. And I have to agree with this guy. As crazy as a shaman is, I have to agree with him on that statement. This is by far the best transformation of the game. And I'm going to show you why. Because we get to fly endlessly without using any red feathers. There is absolutely no cost to doing this. It is completely free. You can pretty much openly fly around this entire place. And it makes getting around this world a lot simpler. The only problem is it's a little bit funky to control. And I'll kind of show you a little bit more once you kind of get back into the air. But the flying mechanic in this, or for this transformation, is a little bit funky. As you can see, there's a little hole there in the ground. We can't do anything with that yet as Bee Banjo, but once we return back to regular form, we can actually do something there. However, like I said, other than the Wonder Wing, there's only one other way of getting the items in those snare bears, and that is as Bee Banjo. So as you can see, the Bee transformation allows you to just step right into those things. They do not harm you. They will recognize you as a bee, And clearly bees have a lot more of an advantage in essentially collecting things and getting into little tight, dangerous spots. So of course they will not attack you, but that is one thing to keep in mind. So if you are low on golden feathers for this section of the world, you can definitely use the bee transformation to grab any of these collectibles that are sitting right here inside of the snare bears. So keep that in mind. But now we're going to continue along the tree, and we actually want to fly a little bit higher. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here on the lower part of the area. Go ahead and collect. Actually, yeah, we need more honeycombs because we're very close to death. I don't want to die this early on in the world. And I have to say, dying in this game has never been something I've been worried about other than this world. This is the only exception where dying in this game can happen pretty frequently. Just because some of the enemies, some of the possibilities of falling from a very tall, high up location, like, you know, we're pretty high up now, but you're essentially invincible as the bee transformation, which is another reason why I like this transformation, because from my understanding, and you know, of course you can fly pretty much endlessly, but if you fall like on a platform, I don't believe you take any damage, because the bee grabs onto the ledge pretty nicely. But if we fly up here, we will find a green Jinjo just chilling in a snare bear, and that has to be by far one of the most dangerous placements of a Jinjo in this game by far. What we want to do is, I didn't mean to fall off that. We actually want to go ahead and enter this little entrance way inside of this little beehive. Well, it's actually kind of a big beehive, so you'll kind of see what's in here. Pretty obvious, I guess, if you're not, you know, sure or haven't really, you know, put two and two together. It's a giant beehive, so I'm sure we're a bee entering it, so I think we know what's going to be in here. More bees. Zzz. Hello, fat little bee. Man, this guy's rude as hell. We Zubas are guarding Grunty's golden honey piece. There's a Ginger right there. We've been told there's a honey bear out there. So yes, they are essentially guarding their, they're calling it a honey piece. It's obviously a Jiggy that's hidden in this little patch of honey or whatever that is. We cannot get it as the bee transformation. We do actually have to get that as Banjo and Kazooie, but they of course are on the lookout for Banjo, so they're kind of guarding it for now. But yeah, we really can't do anything other than grab that Jinjo as of right now. Going back outside, we're going to go ahead and take things back to the sky and explore a little bit more. Since we are airborne, I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything. This is essentially actually there's a higher point. If you actually fly over here, you will see a giant egg, and this is pretty familiar. We saw something like this back in Bubble Gloop Swamp, and we kind of broke the heck out of it, and it ended up just being a much smaller egg, cloaked in a giant egg. But if you fly all the way to the top of the area, you will find a snare bear that's holding the Jiggy, and that's our very first Jiggy. So one Jiggy down, several more to go, and I have to say, this is definitely the more time-consuming world. This world will take you the most amount of time out of any level in the entire game. Again, it's final world, so that's something to kind of be expected, but I just want to kind of clarify and kind of point that out. Going over here, I believe there's a Mumbo token that was right here. Yep, right here at the end of this little unfinished building here. Going back to Mumbo's hut, we actually are pretty much done now as Banjo. Again, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more use out of the transformation, but we are done, so we're going to go ahead and return back to regular bear and bird form, because we have a lot to do, and we do not want to waste any time at all. Go ahead and exit Mumbo's hut. We're going to go ahead and head in this direction now. I'm going to take the wading boots to get myself safely across this bramble here on the ground so I don't take any damage. Go up here, there's a golden feather, but we have one of these guys to nearly kill us. Those guys actually take 2 damage. Keep that in mind, because that's another easy way to die in this world, and I'm about to do it right now. Thank goodness. Okay, I want to make sure I regenerate my health so I don't go down like a fool, very embarrassingly. But if we head over to this little garden area that we were just previously at as the bee transformation, as you can see, if you go down in there, nothing happens. But if you poop in some eggs, we know eggs are good for sprouting things. A nice little plant will sprout right out of the ground. So for now, we can't do anything with this yet. We have to essentially go travel to another season, and then we will be able to do something else. So yes, as you can see, And again, it'll be a lot more clear once we get to the other seasons. Oh man, I forgot they did 2 damage. Darn it. Back to the spring section. Alright, I'm not wasting any time at all. I'm just going to bust out the Wonder Wing. I don't care if I'm wasting golden feathers, but I want to get those guys out of my way before they cause me any more pain and suffering. Now moving back along, we actually have the beehive there again. We cannot enter it as Banjo in this section. We're going to hold off on doing that until we get to another season. But yeah, so essentially the main gimmick of this world is you have, of course, all the 4 different seasons. That are divided into different sections of the world, and each thing you do in one section is actually going to impact what you do in another section. So jumping down below this unfinished building, we will have some wooden planks we can actually platform across. And if you notice over this way, they lead a little bit of a trail. This is kind of an unfinished bridge here, but we can still get across it if we time our jumps well enough. And if you get to this part over here, this is a lot more completed, or this is a lot more complete. We will find an enemy there, and we will find a switch with the sun on it. That will open the summer season. So we can now access summer, but we want to go ahead and head into this little place first because we will find a squirrel. Chomp, chew, Nabnut likes acorns. I'll just eat a few more. So this is Nabnut. He is the crazy looking squirrel NPC in the game. No, this guy is fine. He just essentially just eats his little acorns, and that's all he really does throughout this entire world. But he will play a little bit of a bigger role once we get to a different season. But for now, we can just admire him enjoying his little nuts, his acorns. But so since there's nothing we can do there, we want to go ahead and just leave Nabnut's place. Very funny name for the squirrel. I have to admit, that's hilarious. The fact that his name is Nabnut. But we're going to continue onwards because we have more to do. We head over here. If you remember that giant egg we saw when we were in the air as the bee, we couldn't do anything with it as the bee transformation. But since we are regular bear and bird, as you can see, there's a shock jump pad. So we can now use that to spring ourselves on top of it. Of course, where there's a giant X means we can do the beak buster move. Roar, me eerie. Mighty eagle needs sleep now. So it will actually reveal a baby eagle, and this guy is still pretty big compared to us because, of course, he's an eagle. Can't do anything with him. You can't do anything to his little booty there. He's just gonna snooze a little. He's gonna snooze away, and we essentially do not want to disturb his sleep. So nothing we can do here for now, unfortunately. So continuing on, we are actually gonna continue to climb higher, and we were up here as bee Banjo, but we weren't able to do a certain something else up here because this is actually what we need to do as regular Banjo. If you remember where we got that Jinjo and that snare bear, there's actually a door that's breakable right here. We can enter. We have a bunch of whip cracks and a giant tree in the middle, but behind it rests a Jiggy. And that is number 2. So yes, we have a lot of work to do, and I just want to make sure there's nothing hidden. Okay, there is an extra life up there. I thought there was something like that in here, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's in kind of a weird spot. I think you actually have to come... Oh, there's one right there too. So they actually stick 2 of them in here. To get that second one, I think you have to be B Banjo once the store is already broken, and then you just enter through as B Banjo and fly up and grab it. But for now, we have nothing left to do up here. So going back down to the bottom of the tree, if you go underwater, you will find this beaver. Somebody move this boulder. Naughty can't get in his house. Yes, this guy's name is Naughty, the beaver. I love the names. I love the names in this game. I do. I really do. So since there's really nothing left to do in the spring section, we're going to go ahead and exit. Arriving back in the main central part of the world, as you know, we hit that switch that unlocked the summer world, so we were actually going to go ahead and enter the summer season.